grew up in Kansas City. He watched the Kansas City Royals win the 1980 World Series on Armed Force TV in Germany. He's speaking today from the Confident Communicator speech number 10. Timing on, I think you heard it is 8 to 10. The speech title is Inspiring Kansas City Baseball. Inspiring Kansas City Baseball, Dwayne Landenberger.
Get your peanuts, popcorn, and ice-cold drinks. Yes, Madam Toastmaster, I sold those items during Kansas City A's baseball games at Municipal Stadium in the summer of 1966. I was committed to watching the baseball games while making a profit or earning some income. So I watched the baseball games while I was selling. Commitment to a vision leads to growth and success. In 1924, Ralph Smedley had a vision to help young men learn how to engage in public speaking. In 1902, there was a vision to bring baseball to Kansas City. So the Kansas City Blues was a founding member of the American Association Minor League. We need help and encouragement. Toastmasters offers that help and encouragement. Sometimes we become discouraged. Perhaps we think, you know, this is too hard, I want to quit. But someone comes along and encourages us. We have mentoring, we have coaching. We need that encouragement. Mickey Mantle, for some of you who don't know Mickey Mantle, he was one of the most famous baseball players for the New York Yankees. His rookie year was in 1951, and he played for the Kansas City Blues. It was his rookie year. He was in a slump. So the New York Yankees sent him down to the Kansas City Blues. He felt discouraged. He called his father, told his father, I don't think I can play baseball anymore. Well, his father drove up from Oklahoma to Kansas City that same day and gave him a heart-to-heart talk. Immediately, he broke out of his slump, hitting .361 with 11 home runs and 50 runs batted in. We need that commitment. Commitment leads to growth. In 1930, Toastmasters incorporated as Toastmasters International. In 1954, Arnold Johnson bought the Philadelphia Athletics and moved them to Kansas City. That's the same year my family moved to Kansas City. He had this relationship with the New York Yankees. He traded the good players to New York, like Roger Maris and Whitey Herzog and Dick Hauser. Their winning percentage was only about 40%. They were barely competitive. The commitment to resources will improve the situation. Arnold Johnson died in 1960, and Charlie O. Finley took ownership of the Kansas City Athletics. He brought in innovation. He changed the logo, changed the name of the team just to the A's. He introduced colorful uniforms, Kelly green and gold. Up to that point, baseball uniforms were fairly dull. They were white or gray. He introduced color. He also had the innovation of what was called the pennant porch. He brought in the right field wall so they could hit more home runs. Unfortunately, the other teams hit more home runs. he was somewhat controversial. Then, in 1968, he got permission to move the team to Oakland. Expansion does bring new benefits. The Kansas City area, the county of Jackson County, were very supportive of baseball, and they voted for a bond election to raise bonds for the Harry S. Truman Sports Complex of both baseball and football stadiums. This was unheard of in those times, that they would build two stadiums next to each other, but they would share the parking. Well, the Missouri Senator Stuart Symington was instrumental in moving up the timeline for team expansion. So Kansas City Royals were created in 1969. The owner was Ewing Kauffman. And so they played until the new stadium was completed in 1973. One of the things that Ewing Kauffman did was to invest money into the farm system, and also he created what was called the Baseball Academy. And several players who had no prior experience in baseball went to this academy, and they became exceptional baseball players. One of them was Frank White. There was a commitment to excellence by investing in young players, development of players. It brought success to the Kansas City Royals. Between 1978 and 1984, they won 5 division championships in the Western Division. They also won the American Conference League Championship and went on to the World Series in 1980, losing to the Philadelphia Phillies in 6 games. But be careful of settling in, because in Toastmasters, sometimes we can rest on our laurels, rest on our success, and not look ahead to keep up our learning and our growth. In nature, if you're not growing, you start declining. Revitalization. Well, before the revitalization, the Kansas City Royals went into decline. They didn't win any further division championships. And then in 1993, Ewing Kauffman died. They lost leadership. They lost a champion. The new owner didn't want to spend money for player development. They had one of the lowest payrolls in all of baseball. So they went into decline. They had 9 seasons in a row where they were finished last and had the most losses of any team in baseball. They hit rock bottom in 2005 with a 56-106 record. One of the worst possible. A record that still stands. But revitalization is important, even in Toastmasters. In 2011, Toastmasters came out with rebranding, with new focus on leadership, education, and reaching the world for Toastmasters. So in 2007, the rebuilding of the Kansas City Royals began. In 2007, they acquired Alex Gordon, Billy Butler, and Mike Mousakis. And in 2010, they acquired Eric Hosmer. And these players have been very instrumental in the current situation, bringing them to the World Series. In 2013, they had their first winning record since 19 94. And they came very close in 2014 in winning the division championship. They were only one game behind the Detroit Tigers. But they got into the playoffs as a wild card, and they won 8 straight games. And I listened to most of those games, and it was so thrilling when they won that 4th game with Baltimore Orioles. The celebration, the excitement, the cheering. And that's the same way in Toastmasters. We want to cheer each other when we have that success. So fellow Toastmasters, we want that commitment to a vision that brings success and growth. Madam Toastmaster.